Hello, hello. My name is Svetlana with Gaia Speech, and I'd like to go over this chart that I made to help people work on their public speaking issues. Um, so I consider public speaking anything to do with speaking, basically. It's not just when you give a presentation, it's when you go on a job interview, have a sales call, audition, and ordering at a restaurant, anything, because similar things happen to us internally during all of these situations. So that's why I kind of broke it down in this chart to help people understand what is happening kind of underneath the surface, to understand why a stutter might occur or a loss of confidence might occur during these situations. So the best way to do this is to journal, have a piece of paper or your journal and make a chart. I kind of designed it this way, just kind of for how it fits on a piece of paper, but you can do it however you wish. Make 3 columns: before, during, and after. So the before part has to do with kind of anticipating something might happen. So let's say you're going on a job interview and you already start thinking about how it's going to go. And when you're thinking about it, certain anxiety is going to come up and certain negative thoughts are going to come up. And those negative thoughts can set you up for that, how things are going to go on that job interview. But more importantly, those negative thoughts have to do with what has happened to you in the past. Because our mind tends to make patterns and connections over time. So things kind of build over time and kind of rest in layers, or called, let's say, muscle memory. It's kind of builds and builds and builds and gets stored in your muscle memory. So whenever a situation happens, it's like a trigger bringing up all of that memory to the surface, and it feels overwhelming. It's really hard to understand, why is it happening? So in the chart, you'll write down the before, what is happening before you go to the event, or before you even need to, let's say you're calling to make a doctor's appointment. Before a person makes that call, they already start feeling kind of that anticipation. I'm going to stutter. I'm going to stutter on the word appointment, which is a common word people stutter on. I'm going to stutter because I'll need to say my name, and people commonly stutter on their name. So that's already like setting us up for how things are going to go. So in that moment, you can write down on the chart, what were you saying to yourself in that before stage? Like the examples I just gave, I'm going to stutter. It's not going to go so well. Whatever else you say. And then also, what do you say to yourself about yourself? How do you feel about yourself, about the situation? Kind of a common thing people say, I'm a failure, I'm not good enough, not worthy enough. These are kind of the underlying thoughts. So you'll have, I'm going to stutter, I'm going to screw up, and then the layer underneath that would be the underlying belief, I'm a screw up, or I'm not good enough. These are just like common examples. I'm not saying that that's everybody or that's you, whoever's listening, but these are just examples. The during portion is during the event. So whether it's a job interview or sales call to to schedule a doctor's appointment. During that situation, certain things happen, right? And then our body and our mind reacts. So our mind will start generating certain thoughts, certain negative thoughts in particular, and our body will react as well. So that's where you write down, what were you saying to yourself in that moment? Like, oh, this is going horribly, or they think horribly of me. You know, a lot of times the concern is, what are people thinking of me at the time? And then again, you check in, what are you saying to yourself about yourself? That part is always harder to identify. What are you saying to yourself about yourself? What is your view? What is your perspective of yourself? That is a harder one to admit as well for people. That's why that's so important. And then the after is after the event, when you're done and you're kind of recovering. You go home, you're driving, and you're processing how the event went. And you're saying certain things to yourself. Think it will never get better. I will always stutter. Let's see, what else do people typically say? You know, I will never get a better job. I will never excel in my field because of this. You know, all sorts of thoughts. So the same thing, you just write it down here. Now, this is a great exercise to practice literally every day. You can sit down 5 minutes and process. Will help you process how your day went. So I usually recommend to do a visualization. Let's say the day went by, right? It's hard to like sit down during your work day and do the chart. So you can just, when you go home, sit down for 5 minutes, do your breathing exercises, clear your mind, and bring up a situation that happened during that day. And usually it's best, don't think about it. Just clear your mind and ask yourself, what situation is kind of stuck with me? No matter how big or small, there's no such thing as like, oh, it wasn't like a stutter, but it wasn't so bad. Sometimes those short situations where you stuttered or had a stumble on your speech, or you know, something weird happened, those might affect us more and kind of nag and keep circling and turning in our heads than another situation. So that's why you don't want to think about this stuff. You just want to clear your mind and ask yourself, what's going through me right now? What situation that happened that day really kind of I need to work on? And that memory, that situation will just pop into your head. Or the emotions connected to that feeling will come up first, and then the memory. So just connect to it in your body, allow the emotions to come up, and play out the scenario in your mind. And that will help you to zoom in to, okay, what happened? Let's say it was a presentation at work, right? It's nagging at you. Okay, so you close your eyes, you clear your mind, connect to your breath, and that scenario just pops into your head. And then you ask yourself, what was happening before the presentation? What was I saying to myself? How was I feeling about myself at the time? And just stay with it until you have good amount of information to write it, you know, fill in the chart. And then the same thing played out in your mind, zoom into the during the presentation, sales call, whatever, quick talk with your boss, whatever it was. And then do the same thing for each part. The after, I would say, is the most important part. What were you saying to yourself after the situation? Because the after, we tend to draw conclusions after something happened. Those conclusions basically solidify that memory, those beliefs, and set you up for the next time, and the next time, and the next time. So in order for the patterns to not repeat, we need to treat each situation as a separate entity. So you had a situation at this presentation, you chop off, you need to disconnect these chains. One presentation has nothing to do with another presentation. You do the chart, for this presentation, and that's it. You don't set yourself up for the next one. And then each time something, you can do this each day to help yourself process the day or like a particular situation, any that comes up, or maybe there are two situations that day. So just do one and then do another one. And so each time, for each time, you're desensitizing that memory. Remember, see like if I can draw this here. Let's say it's like sediment, right? That rests in the ground. And let's say like archaeologists have to peel the layers of that sediment to get to the past, which is what we need to do. So basically your muscle memory started building most likely in childhood, not 100% necessarily, but most likely. So you had one layer and then another layer on top of that. And then it just kept going and going and going. So each time you do this exercise, you're peeling that layer. So you can't expect that everything's just going to get resolved with one sitting. You got to desensitize it little by little. Our bodies, no way can handle cutting through all these layers and just removing all of that. Not humanly possible. That's why we got to be patient with ourselves. So I will leave it at that. If you have any questions or comments, you can always reach out to me wherever. I'm going to post this on YouTube, Facebook, my Instagram. So if you have questions, just let me know. And if you would like to book a session with me to do this type of work, because I work on public speaking and stuttering, using mindfulness strategies, not the traditional speech therapy strategies like easy onset and purposeful stutter and all of that. I use mindfulness strategies to resolve stutter, and I've had great success. If you'd like to book a one-on-one with me, you can just let me know. You can check out my rates on my website, whatever you'd like to do. Okay, hope this helped. Bye-bye.